cool. So we've been doing this. I don't know desde cuándo, but we have a while that we started like this new project, Unpredictable Misfits Club. I'm just gonna explain it to you. So technically, it's Unpredictable Misfits Club. Unpredictable because I feel like as Christians, this generation, we're not so predictable. Like, you know that when you tell somebody I'm a Christian, I believe in Christ, I'm a believer, they automatically assume that you're gonna act a certain way, treat them a certain way, or judge them. And I feel like we're not unpredictable. We're unpredictable. You can't predict our behavior, how we're gonna treat you, whether we're gonna judge you or not, whether we're gonna send you to hell. And misfits because, at least for me, I feel like I don't fit in the church culture, and I don't fit in outside of church either. I feel like I'm in a little gray area in there in the middle, like
Yeah, for sure.
where I feel like our mentality doesn't go with the church, and it doesn't go with like the secular world. Um, oh my God, se me fue. But like before there was a lot of things that I thought were taboo that we couldn't do. For example, what just gonna para dar un ejemplo. Let's say drinking. Drinking, I thought it was a taboo. I thought it was, oh, it's sin. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. But then
For
when
sure,
once
for
you have
sure.
that experience, like that maturity, in the walk with Christ, you realize, yo, there's a lot of things that the Bible actually doesn't say. Yo, it's a sin. You're gonna
And
go to
when you
hell.
realize, when you realize Jesus drank wine, it's like, hold up.
Yeah, and it's crazy, like
Not
you're
not
brought
only
up
did
with this
he,
mentality.
yeah, not only did he drink it, he made it.
Yeah, that's the thing. And one thing that I was talking to somebody was that I was like, he made it, but I don't remember ever reading that he drank it. And then they showed me the verse, and I was like, okay. You see, I'm
And
open to finding out. I'm not like, oh, that's it. This is the way it's supposed to be. That's it. I'm gonna be close-minded about it, and that's it. The way I think it is, that's how it goes. We're not like that.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Dale, dale, ¿qué te iba a decir?
No. I was just gonna say, yeah, and it's like the Passover, the in the Last Supper, Jesus drank wine because it was part of the Passover meal for Jews. The Passover meal was a lamb, and they would drink wine. And in the covenant, he said like this: He gave them bread. This is my body, and this is my blood, which he gave them wine, and they all drank it together. So it was like it was part of Jewish culture.
Yeah, definitely. Eso sí es verdad. So, déjame introducir solamente for the people, that are going to be watching it, because then we're going to stream it live. We're pre-recording it, but we're going to stream it live. So, everybody, welcome to Unpredictable Misfits Club. So, today we are going to have Why Do I Believe This Crap Part 2. We're going to be talking about it, the basis of our faith. Why do we believe in this? Because a lot of people think, this this is not about religion. This is about our relationship with Christ, our walk with Christ, getting to know your Father. I had a few months, I think it was a few months ago, I spoke about who is God. And everybody knows that God is love. According to what the Bible tells us, He is love. Um, he has many names like Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah, God. He has many names, but that's not who He is. It's like my son, everybody knows me as Martin. They know I'm Martin. But my son has a closer relationship with me, and I'm not just Martin to him. I'm more than that. Just like God, like who God is will always depend on the relationship and the proximity we have to Him. Like it's always gonna depend on how close am I to God, and that's what's gonna determine who is God in our lives. I don't know if you want to add on to.
No, I'm listening to you in terms of that.
Yeah, so CRAP is the acronym of Christ, resurrection, accept. I can never say the word, man. Acceptance and promises. God's promises for our lives. Why do we believe this thing? And last time I spoke about that, there's a lot of things that as Christians, with other denomination and everything, which I'm not a fan of other denominations, but when we go to the denomination, I know everybody has a different mindset. They think about what's right, what's wrong, and it's fine. Even the disciples had the disagreements. I can't remember the exact verse, but they had the disagreement. They didn't agree on anything. Just like you and I, we might not agree on everything, but there's certain
For
things, there's
sure.
some fundamentals in the gospel that we have to agree on it, no matter what.
Absolutely.
They're not negotiable. Just like the resurrection, that's something that is not, you believe one thing, I believe another. No, that like that,
For sure.
there's some things that aren't relevant, but there's other things that are just fundamentals. We can't change that. And at least for me, it bothers me seeing so many Christians saying, "Oh no, but I'm right about this. I'm right about it." Who cares if you're right and I'm wrong about, let's say, drinking alcohol or
Hmm.
piercing my ears or doing anything? Who cares about that? As long as we know that, the wages of sin is death. Jesus came to pay that,
Hmm.
and Jesus rose from the dead. There's there's a lot of things that are fundamentals that we shouldn't negotiate. There's other things that, yeah, we could say you might be right, I might be right, but it doesn't change the fact that there's some things that we just can't change.
Yeah, what I learned is that you know, religion is obviously something man-made, but religion is also a spirit. Meaning, there's a spirit of religion that is like just like there's a spirit of anger, any type of stuff. There's actual spirit that is so easy for us as Christians for us to catch it. Like obviously, like a virus. Like right now, we're in this coronavirus season. Right now is easy for us to catch this virus, right? Whatever, because it's roaming around. So it's as Christians, it's like I feel like it's so easy for us to catch that religious spirit, and religion is when we require of ourselves more than God does. Like we end up requiring more upon ourselves than God even requires. And that's what the Pharisees did. Like they ended up making more rules on top of the law, the Torah. And they were like, on the Sabbath, they were like, oh, you can't do this and this and this. And it was more than what the actual law required. And so, we get in trouble and we get frustrated because, simple as that, we end up putting more on us than Jesus actually puts on us.
Yeah, no, eso sí es verdad, eso sí es verdad. Like that's why we're like, this quarantine has taught me, that even though I used to say, it's not, I don't believe in religion, it's not about religion, I was living like a religious lifestyle.
Oh yeah, man.
No,
God is still right now setting me free from religious thinking. Like that's been one of my prayers, especially as of late. God, like purge me out of religion because it's so crazy what we think of God, or how we perceive him, or what we place upon ourselves that is very outside of him. So it's crazy. And like I said, it doesn't, sometimes it could be with the church you're in or whatever, but sometimes it doesn't even have to do with the church you're in. Like I said, it's something as a Christian, you can be in the best church or whatever, a church that is may not be as controlled or whatever, and that religious spirit can still get a hold of you because it makes no distinction. It doesn't care what type of church you're in because it's just trying to contain you. It's trying to keep you locked up in a certain way of thinking, of perceiving God. So
yeah,
it's wild, man.
something that I don't like about religion is the routine. Like
Oh
you,
yeah,
like
yeah.
I hate when you like get into this routine doing the same thing over and over again, and it's like, when is this gonna end? I'm tired of this cycle, and that's something that I truly hate about religion, is when you have the same routine doing the same thing over and over again. That's why we wanted to try to change it up a little, because I know, like, after a while doing the same thing over and over again, you get tired of it, you know and but I want to ask you, you know why do you believe this crap? And for anybody watching, it's not to try to disrespect God or disrespect the gospel, but it's just a way of, just bringing that awareness. Or I know a lot of people might just click on the video just because they see, why do I believe this crap? If you just put, why do I believe in God? Nobody's, it's not as attractive for a lot of people. you know. So we want to give what the people want,
Yeah.
the message that they need.
So in terms of I understand the acronym. So what do you ask? Why do I believe
Like,
what
why is you
specifically?
standing here? What, like, you know, you have an X
What
amount of
I
years serving Jesus, following Jesus. There's a lot of people that unfortunately, you know, after a while they just give up. You know, I've had times where I want to give up, you know, but I understand that it's not about me. On the last video, I spoke about that. I was like, I heard a story about a guy who used to carry a suitcase, a briefcase, everywhere he went. And one day, somebody asked him and said, "Why do you always carry that briefcase?" And he was like, "Here, I have my old clothes before I met God, before I met Jesus. Before I had my relationship with God, I used to wear this clothes. And every time I'm feeling tired and about to give up and that I can't anymore, I just open up this briefcase and then I remember why I'm here, where He took me out of. You know, then I remember my reason why I gotta remain here. You know, why do I gotta keep pushing even though I don't feel like it? Why do I gotta keep pushing even though, you know, people in church probably make me feel embarrassed about calling myself a Christian? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. For me, you know this. You know, I was involved in gangs as a teenager and stuff. So I met God. I met Jesus in being locked up. So, you know, I found myself in the one of the like the craziest time in my life when I look back at it. I was facing up to 9 years in prison. My bail was a quarter of $1 million. I didn't know what I was gonna do with my life. I thought my life was over. I didn't know if God was real. You know, I just heard about God. I would, you know, pray emergency prayer sometimes, whatever, like anybody would do. And and this at that moment it was an emergency prayer too. It was just God help me.
Yeah,
And so I just decided to give it a try. I didn't know if God was, but if God was real, I told myself I need him. I need a miracle because I don't want to do no 9 years in prison.
yeah.
I need help. So, you know, I picked up a Bible, started reading. I didn't understand Jack. Like I read the book of Matthew like in one day, right? But I didn't understand like nothing whatsoever. Like I read it just to read it. Like you know when you just read something and it's like
Yeah.
whatever, like you're doing like a book report or whatever. So I just read it like that in a day, and I thought I read the Bible like I thought I read the whole Bible just by reading the book of Matthew. I'm like, and in my mind I was like, God, like I'm like God, I read the Bible already, take me out of jail. You know, I'm like, all right, I did my duty. Like, get
That's
me
it.
out now, right? Yeah, you know, I thought that's all he wanted. He just wanted me to read the book of Matthew, and like he was gonna
That's
let
it.
me go
That's it.
miraculously. So, but no, it didn't happen that way. So, but I kept, you know, reading and I understood more, and I was praying every day. And you know, to make the long story short, you know, God did a miracle in my life. He instead of that, I came out in a year and a half. I wasn't supposed to come out in a year and a half. It was a complete miracle. And once I realized, and He was, you know, God was with me. He stood by me in my pain. You know, my when I was in prison, I had mom relatives that would come visit me, and it was, you know, good for me to see them and everything, and they were supporting me, but they weren't there with me in my cell when I was crying, when I was in pain. But God was there because I cried out to Him, I prayed to Him. He was there. My father passed away when I was locked up, and he, you know, so I developed that history with God that I was in pain, but He was right by my side. And once He did that miracle when I came out of prison early, I said, wow, like it was an eye opener. I was like, God is really real. There was like that doubt that was in the back of my head before. It was like, God, you're really real. And I don't know what it looks like to follow you because I've never been Christian. My family didn't go to church or anything. So, but I'm gonna follow you for the rest of my life because of what you did for me. So, you know, and that was, you know, from the moment that I accepted the Lord at 15 so now that's been almost what 13 years. Obviously, you know, I failed, you failed, like we have failed a whole bunch of times, you know, like I've screwed
Yeah.
up, I've been apathetic, I've been like dull, I've gotten stuck in religion, I've gotten like, you know, questioning why certain things haven't happened, why certain prayers haven't been answered. But I always like come back to that, just like that man with the suitcase. I remember what God took me out of. And even along the way in those 13 years, he's done so many things for me. It's crazy. Like I would take the whole day just to mention everything, you know?
No, no, yeah. God has been great, like you said. It's true. Like, we're not perfect. You know, a lot of people, just because we say I'm Christian, I walk with Christ, I follow Christ, I'm a believer, and anything you say that associates with Jesus, you know, people already have this mindset. Oh, this person is like this, or they have to be perfect, and then the day you fail, you know, they want to crucify you. And that's something that, you know, I would like to try to change. I know you know, I can't change that, from like, when you can't change somebody's mindset, but I know we could do our part. And is that, try to make people realize that, not to put anybody, just because you're a Christian, to put you on a pedestal, you know, to like,
Sure.
remember, we're still human. You know, let me be human. I'm Christian, but I'm also human. I'm not an alien. You know, I'm not an angel. I'm human. So just because I say I'm a Christian doesn't mean that I'm like, I can't fail. I can't make a mistake. You know, I try not to. That doesn't mean I won't make one. You know?
You know, one of the things I feel like we lack a lot as Christians, and I put myself as this, it's the area of vulnerability. When people see that you're vulnerable as a Christian, like, hey, like I love Jesus, I'm pursuing Jesus, but this is my struggle. I'm struggling with this right now. People are able to relate with you more because if they when we're not vulnerable, we're being perceived as, people who are perfect or whatever. And like, and then when we do fail, and it's like, this like this guy's fake, or all Christians are the same. But when we live in an area of vulnerability, it was like, man, to be honest, I was jealous of this person. I was jealous that this person was, I don't know, getting this, and I've been praying for this, and I saw this person, and I felt jealous, or whatever it may be. When people see that area of vulnerability in church, where you don't have to hide who you are, because
Yeah.
when you're able to be accepted no matter what, like you're showing people the areas of your weakness, and when you do that, you're admitting, hey, this is a weakness, and I'm showing it because I want to grow out of it. So I feel like when people come to church and they are able to see us as more vulnerable, it's like it gives us more access to them. Because if I feel like you're perfect, like let's say if I feel like you have no weaknesses, or I've never know what your struggle is, I don't know if I'm really going to tell you my struggle, because I'm afraid that you're going to judge me,
Yeah.
and to be honest, that's me. I feel like that's one of been like, I feel like when I started out, I was kind of more vulnerable, but because I was judged, and when I was vulnerable, I felt like that closed me up, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll be vulnerable, because I don't want to feel that judgment. It's not a nice feeling when you feel
Yeah.
judged, and it's like people don't look at you the same. So I was like, I don't know if I should be vulnerable, because I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be looked any less different.
No, yeah, that's the thing. That's something that, honestly, like, I've been trying to break out of, you know? I know that sometimes in certain, certain environments, certain churches, you have to hide yourself, who you really are. You can't be your genuine self, because as soon as you're your genuine self, as soon as you try to do something out of, like, just be genuine and who you really are, people just automatically judge you. You know, if you want to be transparent, that's the word I was trying to look for in my head. If you want to be transparent, people, a lot of people that have a certain X amount of time in church, they don't want that. But that's what other people need. They need to see that we're not perfect. You know, I don't want to appear something I'm not, because I know I'm not perfect. I know I probably fail every single day, with my words, with my actions, with anything I do. But my thing is, I'm trying to break out of that, and I'm trying to help others break out of that religious mindset. Oh, I gotta hide who I really am. I can't be myself. And then when you're, with your crew, you're someone else. Like, if I see you there, then I see you in church. It's like it does. I don't know. It's just, there's a disconnect there. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, for
something
sure.
that that's one of the reasons why we also started the Unpredictable Misfit Club. So whoever feels like, yo, I don't belong in church because of that same reason, because you can't be yourself, you can't be transparent. Otherwise, there's judgment that comes with that. you know, and like you said, that's the worst feeling ever. There's times where you walk into a church and you feel like all eyes are on you, maybe because of a shirt you have that probably has a skeleton or something, and then they judge you. And something that I like that I've been meditating on and reading on is the fruit of the spirits. There's a lot of people that say, oh, if you're really in a relationship with Christ, we should see, like, we will know you by your fruits, the fruits you bear.
For
That's how
sure.
we're gonna know you. But the thing is that I was meditating on that, and the fruit has nothing to do with the appearances, with the physical appearances. It has
Oh, for
everything to do
sure.
with the inner being. You know what I mean? Because what does the Bible say that the fruit of the spirits are? Patience, love. None of that. You can't show any of that by, like, with appearance. You can't dress
Of
yourself
course.
in a loving manner. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Those are things that
Absolutely.
come from the inside, from the inner being. That's nothing that you can see on the outside. It's just when you speak, when you treat somebody, you treat them differently than the way you used to do it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's something that I feel like people in church have to understand. That it's not about the how I look on the outside. Before I used to think, when I started, I also used to think that tattoos were bad, because sometimes they also cite the Bible, but they don't cite the whole thing, and they don't
Yeah, the
they don't
context. Yeah.
yeah, they don't read the whole context. And the thing is, when you read the Bible, it says don't mark your body, something like, but it also says, like, to honor the dead. It doesn't say just don't mark your body. You know what I mean? It's if you
For
do it,
sure.
like, you got to read the whole context, because I know there's parts where people use the drinking one. I can't remember the Bible verse where it says it, but they don't read the whole context. And it says not to get drunk and everything.
Oh, of
When you
course.
do
Yeah.
when you overdo everything, it could be eating, it
Absolutely.
could be
Yeah.
anything. It's not healthy for you.
Gluttony is a sin.
Yeah,
Gluttony be like is a sin, but there's a whole bunch of fat, pastors and preachers and stuff. It's like, yo,
yeah,
what's
that's
going on? So it's like, and obviously sin just means missing the mark. So it's like, okay, you eating way too much, you missing the mark. So
yeah,
it's like that person who, is smoking weed is missing the mark too. But you're judging them. You're holding, you're putting a heavier condemnation on them than you are on yourself. So
yeah. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But another thing that keeps me going, at least for me, is that doesn't we don't even have to go, because a lot of people, I read well, I didn't read the article, but I read about GQ. I think it was in 2018, I believe, that they had uh one of the worst books to read, and they had, like, the Bible. And
oh,
honestly, something that I said in the other video also is that I don't believe in Christ because of the Bible. I believe the Bible. I love the Bible. I know that a lot of it, it's still relevant to this day, the Bible. But the thing is, I don't believe in Christ because of the Bible. You know what I mean? I believe because of his person, of who he is, because of the experiences I've had on my walk with Christ. That we don't even have to tie it to the Bible or being religious. There's also historical proof that Jesus, a man named Jesus, did
that
exist
he existed. Yeah, yeah,
and
he
got
existed and he
crucified.
was
You know?
crucified and everything. The only thing that they just don't believe that he resurrected from the dead, which is the supernatural
Yeah,
part of it. But yeah, it's like in the book of Galatians, like I told you, we're like suckers for religion. It's like Paul told Galatians, like, you foolish Galatians, who bewitched you? Who like did witchcraft on you? You guys started in the spirit and started and ended up in the flesh because the Jewish people at that time tried to go to their church and were like, okay, yeah, you guys, in order for you guys to really be saved, you guys have to get circumcised. You guys have to follow Jewish customs and all these other things. And they ended up believing them. So they were like, ended up doing things like doing outside works. It's like telling, oh, you have to wear this, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And they ended up believing that. And Paul was like, yo, what's wrong with you guys? Like, you guys started off in the spirit. You guys started off by relationship. You guys started off by relating to the Holy Spirit. And then you guys ended up in your home, in your human effort. So that's what religion is like in our human effort, we try our best to please God, and we really can't. Like, we have to. The only way we can please God is through relationship. Is through the Holy. Like, I can come to God no matter how I'm feeling, no matter how whatever like bad I may feel for myself because of how my day went, or what I did or didn't do. And once I encounter the Holy Spirit, when I encounter Him, like, it just changes everything. You get the power to actually do what He wants you to do. So it never it God never intended us to like live a life where we have to really obey God in our human effort. Like, even Paul said that, like, the flesh cannot please God. So if God was to tell me something right now, and then for me to try to really obey Him in my human effort, I would fail. I could it. I'm not saying I can't. I'm not saying I can't say yes to God, but
Yeah.
He intends for me to say yes to God from a place that I encounter Him. When I encounter Him and I get to know Him, and by the help of the Holy Spirit, I get to say yes to Him and do whatever it is He's requiring of me.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Something I want to tell you is that, and it's not because we're here recording or anything, something I've been wanting to tell you. I never got like the courage to say, but I want to thank you, because thanks to you is that, like, that's why ignited my fire. It's like watching you, remember in the retreats, like I think that was my second
Yeah, I
retreat. That was
remember
my
those
second
retreats.
retreat.
Those
So
retreats are fire.
yeah, like those times I remember when we used to go out and evangelize and everything. Like, your passion, like, you had such a passion that, like, it was contagious. You know what I mean? That's what, like, made the gospel a little more attractive to me. That's why I wanted more of Christ. That's what led me to having a better relationship with Christ, because I used to go to church since, let me see, I think 2003. They used to take me to church. I left, went back just to sing, rap, do my thing, back out. But then when
What was Los Ángeles del
Los Ángeles
Camino?
del
Yeah,
Camino.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So we used to go do our thing. That's it. Go back, and then there came a point where, we just went back. Then I see this dude that's mad passionate for Christ and loves the supernatural. And then that was just like a contagious vibe and everything. And I want to thank you, because you were one of the reasons why I was still there. What kept me there. And then, yes, the relationship with Christ, but the first thing was,
Absolutely.
like, through your passion. You know what I mean? And that's something that we have to do, like, have such a passion. Like, that's something that I've been struggling on also this past few months, few years, is my passion. One person once told me, don't let your, like, that fire quench, because then it's harder to get it going again. And I've experienced that. It's been hard, because
Yeah,
I've been trying to get back.
yeah,
It's like going to the gym. When you stop going to the gym for a while, then it's harder to get back on it. You know?
for sure. And not only that, it's yeah, I relate 100%. And not only that, you're married, you have a wife, you have a kid, and everything. It comes like when you're single, it's so much different
Yeah, yeah.
because it's like yeah, I can pray, I can do this whenever I want, I can do like it's like you have nobody telling you what to do. Like, especially when you're a young adult, when you're a teenager, probably your parents, but when you're like 18, 19, whatever, and you're single, and then it's like you could do you have freedom to do what you want, but now when you're married, you have a kid or kids in my sense, you have to people need your attention. You have your spouse, your kids, and then you're working, and it's like then you like, and then by the time you really want to devote alone time to God, whether you're tired. In my case, I'm too sleepy, or I can't wake up in the morning at the time that I want to wake up, and
Yeah.
then you get frustrated with yourself. But something that I've been, obviously the religious mentality breaking off, is knowing that everything I do is onto the Lord. I don't have to feel like I'm apart from Him, because obviously your alone time with God, it's essential, it's important. We need that. But I'm saying, like, hey, if I didn't, because I would, even to this day, kind of, if I don't spend the time that I want with God, I get frustrated and whatever, and I'm like, I get
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, I'm disconnected. But I'm like, I know that if I'm driving, if I'm working on something, and I just turn my heart to God, I'm like, God, I'm gonna worship you. Because sometimes we get confused. We think worship is singing to God, like, or whatever. Worship is really service. Paul said, like, present your bodies to God as a living sacrifice. This is your true worship. So worship is not singing to God, that's praise. But like your true service to God is whatever you do unto him. Whatever, if I can give, I can, I don't know, I can wash the dishes in my house, and I can do it, and like just to do it. But if I choose in my heart, my God, I'm gonna give this as an offering to you, something changes. And it's like you just, I'm washing the dishes and I just feel the presence of God because I'm actually dedicating it onto him. So it's
That's
all about perspective, a matter of the heart. So that's what I've been learning is like, I have to shift, and it's crazy. It's so hard because religion or the way you think is like, it has to be this way. If it's not this way, then it's nothing. But it's not like that. Like if you shift your perspective, why can't I be connected to God the whole day? Why is it that I have to only connect with God at this time in the morning or in the night? Why can't I be conscious of him the whole day? And that's something that I'm trying to, you know, shift into, so
no, that's something that I totally relate, because I feel frustrated whenever I don't get that time alone, that intimacy with God. But then like you realize, like, there's times where you do give him that intimacy, but you don't give him the quality. You know what I mean? Sometimes you may be doing something else, but you do it like you give him quality, like you do it for him to bring him glory, like you just said. And it's crazy because it's not about the time, like that set time that you have, that set time that you have for God, but it's like the time that you actually dedicate to him. You know what I mean? Like you could be doing, like you said, washing the dishes, or driving, but as long as you give him like that quality time, it could be 2 minutes, but as long as it's quality time. It's like when you have
for
kids,
sure.
that even if you give him 5 minutes to play, but you actually like dedicate the time to give him all your attention, you see the difference when you have like let's say you give him half an hour, but you on and off, you play with them on and off, you don't give them that full attention, you don't give them that quality time, you get to see the difference. And I believe like it's the same with God. Like it doesn't matter if you have that time at night or in the morning, that you wake up at 6 in the morning. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, last night, I was telling my wife, I put on a song. I think it's called "Abide in Me" by Kimberly and Alberto Rivera. And I was like, I love this song. And I remember that the first time I heard this song was when I woke up in a retreat at the middle of the night, and I saw Ariel praying. And I was like, I gotta Shazam this song. And then I went back to sleep. But like ever since that time, I was like, yo, that's why I say your life, your testimony is what led me to try to have a better relationship with God. Because I woke up that day and I was like, man, I wish I could wake up this early and just talk to God. And like those little things that I used to see, like motivated me to want to seek for more. You know what I mean? And get closer to God.
For
But
sure. And
no, you could go. You could go.
a verse, or not a verse, people confuse, not a verse, but a quote that I love from Bill Johnson is, he goes, when God is number one, there is no number two. Meaning when God is number one, everything you do is unto the Lord. And this has happened to me, is like, we sometimes attribute that you're only doing something for God when it's church related, when it's something you have to do with church, whether, or evangelizing or whatever it may be. You only think that's for the Lord. But when God is your number one, when you are given to God, everything you do is unto the Lord. So like, there is no, okay, God first, family second, work third, this and that. It's like, no, everything I'm doing is on Him. So the way that I treat my wife is actually my service to God. You understand? The way that I treat my kids, the way that I do by life, everything. That way, I don't never have to feel disconnected. That the only way I feel connected is when I'm doing church activities. No, it's like everything I do. There's no like, everything I do is for him. So there's no separation from my normal life than to whatever I'm doing in church. So that way, people would actually get to see like oh what a Christian really is like, you understand? Because you're being the same everywhere you are.
Yeah.
So but yeah,
Sometimes,
and that's what the religious mentality does. It separates things. Or like this is only God. God is
yeah,
only involved in this, or God cares more about. And you know what's so crazy? This is I caught this in my mind. For some reason, it's so stupid, but when you think about it, it's like, oh snap. Sometimes I would think that God was more interested in answering prayers of church related things than other things. So
yeah,
I would feel like if I'm a pastor and I'm praying for breakthrough because a church needs X amount of money or a place to worship or whatever, I would feel like God is more interested in that than in my prayer for something else. And it's not true. We're all children. You understand? So, it's
no,
wild, man.
it is wild. And the thing is also that a lot of people think that living a double life is, oh, that you go to church and then you go to a club afterwards. And I think that's the definition of a double life. You know, that you think God is only God at that intimate time that you set up for him, or he's only God when you're in church. You know, is I feel like that's a double life when you just segregate God to certain things. Like you assign God like a time, a place, but the thing is, God is everywhere. So everything we do or everywhere we go, God is there. So we should live for Him everywhere we go, not just when I go to church, not just because a lot of us that's what we do with that, and we do it out of custom. That's why I feel like it becomes a religion because we do it not because we're interested in that relationship with God, but because we were probably taught when we were little, oh, you go to church and God is there. And before you go to sleep, you pray at night and God is there. But what happens to the other gap, to the gap from the afternoon, the morning, what happens to that time? Where is God then? God is everywhere. And like you said, that God, you're connected to God the way you treat your wife and everything. I was thinking about that. I was like, even this might sound a little explicit, but I believe even if like when you in the act of intercourse, sexual intercourse, it's a way to serve God and worship God because you're doing it the way He intended to. As long as you do it the way He intended to,
Absolutely.
as long as you keep the things like you do things the way He intended to, you're bringing honor to Him, worship. Maybe the religious mindset might
I,
say, "Oh, how could they say that oh, having sex is a sign is a way to worship
who
God."
who
I believe it is.
who created sex? Was it the devil? Was it the devil who created sex? I've heard people say, pastors say that God is not involved in the bedroom. I'm like, I heard that. I'm like, holy, what do you mean God is not involved in that? Like, it's like we think like God covers his eyes or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's wild, the mentality like we develop sometimes. But man, God created sex. Like, sex is a gift. God created sex for our enjoyment, for both the man and the female. Just like but obviously it could be perverted. We
Yeah,
pervert it. The devil perverts it, and so it's the same thing like with alcohol. Wine comes obviously from grapes, whatever. It's a gift to us, but we pervert it. Same thing with food or anything like that. Because of our sin nature, we're apart from God, we pervert things. We make things detrimental to us.
yeah. We like to attribute the devil so many things that is actually from God. Like just like beers also comes out of wheat. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that the devil didn't create
Yeah,
anything.
I thought, look, this is so stupid. Look I hate the religious spirit. I would think, nah, wine is good, but beer, nah, that's not good. I'm like, and then it's so funny. And I was like, and then I checked in beer. beer has less. A bottle of beer has
Yeah,
less
yeah. Let's.
alcohol than the actual bottle of wine. I'm like, oh snap! What
Wait,
the heck?
how much is
And
it?
it's
Is
like
it 5%, and then
it's
the other
like
one
five
12?
percent and
I think.
12,
Not
14
sure.
depends. Yeah, anywhere 12 to 14 wines different in certain percentage. But I'm like, oh snap! I'm like, the heck? Why was I condemning beer? And I was like, it doesn't make sense. It's like as long as you don't get drunk, as long as you're in your sober mind, because what God worries that obviously when you're drunk, you don't make the right decisions. When you're
Yeah.
drunk, you do stupid things. Like so, as long as you are not drunk, you're good. Like So yeah,
So
man.
yeah. I just want to clarify also that unless you have a prior to Christ, if you had an addiction, maybe it's not the best idea. You know.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
You know.
absolutely. It doesn't. It's like just because drinking alcohol or wine, whatever, it's not sin doesn't mean that it should be beneficial for you. You
Yeah.
understand? So it differs with everybody. Doesn't mean like if you had that problem before, man, you should stay away from it. If you don't think you can control yourself, it's all about self control.
Yeah. Yeah. No te quiero tomar mucho tiempo aquí, but if there's anything like you would like to tell, like anybody who's watching, whether it's young or older generation, what would you tell them about their walk with Christ? Like if there's somebody that believes or agnostic, or somebody that doesn't believe, that's atheist, what would you like to tell them? Like open up your heart.
Yeah, man, Jesus is man the best. Jesus is the best thing that ever happened to me, man. He's been obviously misrepresented. I've misrepresented Jesus to people. I've
Yeah.
misrepresented Jesus to my wife. I've misrepresented Jesus to my family at times. But when you get to know God, the best thing I think the best one of the best ways to know Jesus is through the Bible. And when I say that is that you get to see how he treated people. I was thinking about the woman who was caught in adultery and
Yeah.
everybody wanted to stone her. And Jesus, he simply said, just don't do it again. If it was one of us and our counsel, like, oh, you should have never done that. What were you thinking? This and that. We would have said so many things, but he simply looked at her and like didn't condemn her. So just don't do it again. Like he said, daughter, I don't do it. Sin no more. So it's like when we see Jesus in the Bible, we get to see how he treated people, how the Bible says that he had the oil of gladness. He was anointed with the oil of gladness above all others. When you read it that in the book of Psalms, if I'm not mistaken, that means that Jesus was the happiest person on the earth. The fruit of the spirit is joy, and Jesus was full of the Holy Spirit, so he had joy. So Jesus, try to encounter Jesus in the Bible, but with the Holy Spirit, because the Bible is just if you just read it as a history book, it's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But when you read the Bible to encounter Jesus, it will change your life. You need that encounter with Jesus. Somebody that doesn't, or they're old, young, that doesn't maybe it's been hurt by church or maybe don't doesn't know God. The love of God is the strongest force in the universe. It's man, I remember being filled with the love of God, and it was from that moment on I couldn't see the world the same. It was just different. Like the love of God makes God real to you. It makes you understand how much you're loved. It makes you understand how it doesn't matter about your performance. It it all that matters is your response to what he's given you, his response for what he did for you. So I don't know. I can't put the words together to tell you the truth and what I would want to say, but it's about this is what I've learned though. Church, the main essential thing about church is about family. And when I mean family, I'm not talking about, obviously, I'm not talking about just the husband and wife family. Church is about family, that you get to be part of the family of God. That it's not that you just go to church on Sunday and you listen to a sermon, that you sing 5 songs, 4 songs, whatever it is. Church is a place where you connect with people that are pursuing Jesus, and you get to be part of it. And basically Jesus said, my commandment to you is that you love one another. So like that's why it's about family. Loving one another is serving people, being vulnerable with people. And something that I got to witness is that once I encountered Jesus in jail, and I was by myself, meaning nobody was helping me in the journey. Obviously, I had chapel services, but nobody helped me in the journey. But when I came out and I attended church and I had other people there to help me, my growth was exponential. So, you know, church is about family. It's not simply about listening to a sermon or singing songs. That's important. That's great. But if that's the only thing you get about church, you're missing out. It's church is about community. It's about being with other people, and that you guys can run together and pursue God together as a family.
Wow. No, thank you for joining us, my brother. Thank you. I love you. And whenever you come to New York, shoot me a text.
No doubt, bro. Love you too, man. Have a great weekend, man.
All right, you too. Hablamos. Take care, my brother.
Trato, bro. All right.